Playing Humankind on Humankind difficulty, it can be a little bit of a struggle to get out of the ancient era without either getting smashed by the super aggressive AI personas or being extremely far behind on progression. I blame this mostly on the fact that my leader persona opts to wear this atrocious looking prehistoric muumuu dress. I'll be sharing some footage from the ancient era in a playthrough that I consider to be a pretty successful start thus far. On this particular play as the Egyptians, we were able to complete gold stars in the builder, agrarian, and science categories, all by turn 48, which was on pretty good pace with the AI personas. So you're probably saying, that's fucking brilliant, you have pajamas, but how does that help me? Well, we'll go over how we reach this position. We won't be spending too much time on the Neolithic era. I did another video with some tips on that, which you can see in the link here. But don't forget to come back to this video and like and subscribe. First off, unless you are advancing into the ancient era by turn 10 or so, you can pretty much write off getting either the Harappans or the Mycenaeans, as the AI personas tend to select those cultures with the first and second choices if available. Unless you're like the last player reaching the ancient era, the Egyptians are typically available. Here we didn't have too much of a problem, as turn 13 advancing to the ancient era is a pretty respectable start. So one of the first tips I have is, if you have any luxury resources inside of the borders of your first city's territory at all, I highly recommend researching calendar first. Now, there are certain luxury resources that you may wish to ignore this advice on that don't give an immediate bonus besides the stability bonus. So those would be luxury resources such as ones that provide bonuses to researcher specialists or trader specialists, in which case you could consider taking a different attack first, such as domestication, if you have horses within your territory. That said, you should be looking for the opportunity to settle your first city in a territory that has strong luxury resources, the strongest being the types that have flat bonuses to the main plaza administrative centers or the maker or farmers districts. So I prefer ones like ebony or saffron. You probably prioritize getting strong luxury resources over getting strong tile yields, as long as the tile yields on the tile that you're settling are passable. That's because the luxury resources provide a stability bonus across all of your cities, and their bonus applies across all of your cities as well. There's two big reasons that this is important. The bonus applying across all cities makes it so that any new cities that you settle will grow much faster, because they'll already be receiving the cumulative bonuses of any luxury resources you've obtained. And the stability bonus adds as sort of like a hidden modifier that is going to let you avoid building things like public fountains, or at least push them off for a while, so that you can prioritize things that actually increase your output. When you are presented with your first two civics choices, which are typically founding myths and legitimacy, one strategy that I like to employ is selecting the two options that will cancel each other out on the ideology axis. So that will bring the ideology bar back to the plus 10 stability, which I prefer to keep early on in the game over the percentage-based modifiers. So you want to keep scouting around with your scouts and looking for where the nearest AI persona is. And once you've identified them, then you're going to want to be a little bit more careful with your scouts, because this is a very important aspect of the ancient era, is not losing skirmishes outside of your border. So you want to keep suppressing the AI's war support as much as possible to sort of prevent them from being able to rush in on you with their superior numbers. So once you've identified where the nearest AI persona is, you want to avoid going into that area with a single scout unit, and try to only explore near their borders with groups that have like 3 to 4 units, and that is to avoid just getting picked off and giving free war support, as we had just mentioned. One thing that you want to do aggressively throughout the game, but particularly in the ancient era, is looking for opportunities to finish off productions with gold. If you only have one city, I would do this pretty much as possible, with the caveat that if you have science finished that you're waiting on to build something new, then I would go ahead and wait to try and sync up the new build. Now, if you have a second city, you may want to account for the fact that that city will probably have less production, so you can save your gold and spend it to hurry productions in the second city rather than the city that has more production. Another important strategy that you'll want to be using again throughout the game, but particularly important in the ancient era, is building artisans' quarters in your outposts prior to attaching them. There's a couple reasons that you'll want to do this. One, you'll get the bonus for the luxury immediately, and two, it allows you to immediately build that artisan quarter using culture, allowing you to conserve your gold to do things like purchase other luxury trade routes from the AI personas and hurry your productions in cities that are already established. You'll also notice that I manually changed where my specialists were working, and this is something that I would recommend highly that you do, but I'm not going to get into too much detail about why I made each decision to move those specialists. If people are interested, perhaps I'll do a video particularly just on that. Was hoping to get this video out over the weekend, but it's taking a bit longer than I intended to add the commentary. So I'm going to cut shorter than I intended. So apologies, we're going to have to pick up still in the ancient era to get through the rest of the playthrough, but I probably should spend some time with my wife since it's Sunday. But give you a little sneak peek of some of the battle tactics going on that will be coming up for the rest of the ancient era play. So thanks for sticking around, and consider liking and subscribing, despite the fact that I cut this video short, but I do intend to finish up the rest of how we got to where we were through the ancient era, and look at this exciting battle footage. You want to stick around and tune in for that.